I very much steered clear of guys I respect because I just was like, let me just get good in the shadows,
right.
and they'll see me when I'm good. I don't want them to see me when I know I'm not good yet. I know this takes time. That's why I love the road, because I could fail. Bill Burr actually calls it, I've told him this, like how I quote him on this all the time, but I'm like, he calls it killing in obscurity. You get good killing in like Des Moines, Iowa or something. So no one sees you except the people in Des Moines, Iowa.
Right.
You know, now everyone is like posting every clip on social media, even brand new comics. But they didn't have that when I was a new comic. Thank God for me, because I wasn't good.
Right.
So, I mean, I understood joke structure, but you know, you kind of just start killing in these weird cities and you're like, I'm figuring this out.
Today we have Sam Morril on the podcast, who is an amazing comic who you're amazing.
Now I'm extra happy to be here.
Yeah, right?
You got the basketball hoop outside. You got the pool. You have a treadmill in like every room of your apartment.
I know, it's like it's the decor.
Get it. You exercise a lot. This is crazy.
I do exercise a lot. That's kind of what that's my whole shtick. My background is exercise.
Yeah.
But and it is like the decor. Some people collect jewelry. I just collect treadmills. That's kind of what I do.
It looks nice. It's a nice treadmill.
Thank you. It's a Woodway. They're all Woodways, by the way, which are the best kind of treadmill. Do you work out at all?
I mean, I do it for a different reason than you do it.
Why do you do it?
To sweat out, to mental health.
Booze?
Like, yeah, but like just to not get gross.
Like, well, why would you be gross unless you're just drinking all the time? You mean mentally gross?
Everything, maintenance, you know, like, and also I've like had injuries and stuff. So you just try to like maintenance to make sure you don't get injured.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like I'm working out these days to to win any competitions. I'm just doing it for my mental health. Did you used to
do competitions?
No, I never did competitions, but it's really funny because I know you don't know anything about my background like that, but I wrote a bunch of books in the health and fitness space.
Oh, okay.
I would do I've been on a few different covers of different magazines in the fitness space, stuff like that. I was a trainer for a long time. So that was like kind of my beginning a little bit. And then, so fitness is a major like foundation of mine. So it's why, but now I do it for more my mental health and more just because I really just
I'm the guy burping up gin on a Marriott treadmill on the road.
I know.
That's my fitness.
Well, you're trying to flesh out the toxins of your body.
But you feel good. Working out really is that's like that best hangover cure, other than like maybe an IV drip or something.
The IV drips don't always work, number one, but I feel like you can pee out a lot of the vitamins. And my friend who I'm very close, Dr. Abe, he's going to kill me because he's a very close friend of mine. He'll actually give you a drip if you want one.
Really?
Absolutely. Whenever you want. When do you want one? I'll arrange it for you, like Dr. Abe. I'm going to call you right after this podcast. What?
I'm going to abuse this.
You should abuse it. You should.
All right. Give me Abe's info.
I'm going to give it to you. We'll call him after the show. He'll be more than happy to go to your he's a concierge doctor.
Love
and
it.
he takes care of everybody. I'm telling you, all the big ones that you know. You name them, that's probably his client.
I'm pumped.
Okay, but my point, what I was going to say is the fitness part is great because of you can sweat out all your toxins, whatever, but it's just great for your overall mental health and just to kind of keep you
absolutely,
sharp and focused.
I do feel like sometimes I go to the gym and I come up with material because my mind is awake again. So,
Well, first of all, it's also it's a feeding ground for like great material. Sure. Watching all those people doing all sorts of kooky things, and it's like a pickup. I mean, not so much in the last couple of years with COVID, but like before and now coming back, it's very much a breeding ground, I should say, for that.
Yeah, no, it's there's a gym I'm like in an old person building in Upper West Side, and like there's all these old people, and I'm in the type of building where they're like, even pre-COVID, they're like, you're not allowed to have a trainer, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go if I don't have someone pushing me.
Really? They won't let you? Why?
Some old school bullshit. I don't know. Then they were like, you can only the old people in there are like passive aggressively like, there's a rule here. Like, I don't care, but like, and then they're like, did you talk to the building? And I'm just like, yeah, of course.
That's so strange.
But then eventually I was like, I'll just talk to the building. The building's like, yeah, it's fine.
Are you in a fancy like shishi building?
No,
is that
it's
why?
not. It's like, it's for like a gym doorman building. It's like as low end as you could get, really.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, how big is your space at your apartment?
Small. I'm going to move.
Well, they're like 300 square feet. It's like $10,000.
No, it's not that small.
Well, how big is it?
575.
Okay, no, you're like scorning me for the 300 square feet. Meanwhile, 500 is not that much different.
All right, I'm sorry, backyard pool, basketball hoop.
This is typical for. Well, no, it's not that typical.
No, this is a nice
LA.
place. I've seen LA places. This is solid.
Thank you.
No, I'm gonna move soon. I'm looking at places. It's a process, but
have you always like you're? So let me just say this because I just kind of jumped right in.
Sure.
But like so, Sam, I saw him on this special with David Letterman. I knew within 10 seconds that you are like you're just hilarious, but you're gonna be. He's very much like. As we speak, he's like really gaining momentum, and you're going to be massive. I feel you're going to be the next like Sebastian.
Oh, we're so different. I mean, yeah, he's
doesn't
really
matter. You're great.
Thank you. Yeah, he's I got to get in like the next Scorsese movie. That's the plan.
Well, try. I mean, I think it's you're in the Joker movie
for like a sec. I'm very briefly in it. Yeah.
Okay, but you still were. Well, how did you get into that movie?
Todd Phillips called me. The director. He's a really cool guy. And Todd's background is in comedy, so he really likes comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd was discovered by Ivan Reitman, who just passed away. So
he was?
Yeah. Ivan Reitman discovered him and then I think helped him with his first movie and I believe helped produce Road Trip, which was like his first big comedy.
Oh.
And then, Todd made like Old School, The Hangover. He made huge comedies.
Massive, yeah.
Amazing mainstream comedies. And yeah, and he just like called me and was like, I thought, when someone like that calls you, you're like, all right, dude, I'm sure it's Todd Phillips. And then
right.
My agent's like, no, it's really him. I was like, oh shit. All right. And then, he was just like, I really like your comedy and I love for you to be in this. And I was like, and then I see the role and it's like open micer comedian. I'm like, God damn it, I'm an open micer in this.
Yeah.
So I had to ask him like, hey, do you want me to like suck? Because I'm playing an open micer. And he goes, well, you're going to be Sam, so do whatever you want. I'm like, well, I'm not going to suck with my material. I'm going up with like good jokes. So I'll be the funny guy at the open mic. And he was like, that's fine. And I was like, all right. So I was just did like 15 different takes and maybe more. And it was like, I'm going to do, it's an audience. I'm doing a different joke every take. I don't want to repeat material. So he's like, just make sure it would work in the 80s because the movie's in the 80s. So he's like, no cell phone jokes or anything. And only one joke was he like, don't do that again.
What joke was it?
I like the joke. The joke is like, it's a weird one to tell here because it's like it's one of my few jokes where like I have an act out, but I'd say, my ex would always say like, you made me come. Like she'd give me credit for the orgasm. So she'd be like, I'm about to come. And I'd be like, cool. And then she'd be like, stay completely still. And I'd be like, all right. And then she'd be like, you just made me come. And I'd be like, are you sure? Because it feels like I played dead with an erection, like made you. And so the joke would be like, that's like if you went to the barber shop and I'm like, can you hold the buzzer like right here? And then you just like move your head around. And I'm like, you're the best I've ever. Not a great joke for an audio podcast, but you get the gist. And
this is not an audio podcast. I said that YouTube is growing.
Too. It's new.
Yeah, it's growing.
Well,
we do a lot of teasers. A lot of video comes from TikTok. A lot of stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, well, so that's how that came about. And then, we did like a bunch of takes and he was like, Todd was so nice. And then, and Joaquin Phoenix, I'm like the guy who goes on before him. So he's like creeping in the room. And then there's one point where he's just like, I'm not going to like, but I don't know what his process is. He seems like an intense,
very,
actor. And I don't want to, I'm like, I don't belong here. This is so stupid. And we're in this club Dangerfield, which is no longer there anymore. But when we shot it,
where is it anyway?
It was on like 59th and I don't know, like First or something. It was far east. It was, they used to shoot great specials there. That's where like, the old Rodney Dangerfield. I love Rodney Dangerfield.
Me too.
It's like one of my favorite comedians of all time. But they would shoot the old specials where it's like, Jerry Seinfeld, Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks, like all the legendary sets. And I remember he would give funny intros. So he'd be like Bill Hicks. He'd be like, this next comic, he's so far ahead of his time. His parents haven't even met yet. Give it up for Bill Hicks, everybody. Like funny in the intros of comics.
Yeah.
I loved Rodney. So, but I never worked that club. It was always kind of a shitty club.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they never took, apparently Rodney was like, he would do drugs at other, he's like, I'm not doing drugs at my club. I'll do drugs at the comic strip or something. But,
right.
But I remember going there and be like, this club sucks.
Really? And that's why it closed, I guess.
They just didn't really respect comics. They would do weird shit where you like, you'd go on stage and there'd be like 6 people in the crowd and they do 25 minutes. I'm like, for 6 people? And I'd be like, all right. So I remember I'm on stage once just bombing there for 6 people. And I watched them walk 3 more people into the room. And I'm like, all right, we got 9. And then they sit down and they gave me like 1 joke and they were like, nah. And they just walked out.
Really?
Yeah, it was brutal.
Isn't that hard though for a comic? That can, like, when you get heckled or booed, or when people don't, like, when you feel the energy off of a crowd and it's not going well, like, how do you kind of maintain that? Like, how do you keep on going? It's like, so like, isn't it demoralizing and like difficult?
You just get numb. I mean, like, none of it matters really. Like, when you're young and it's like 6 people and you're bombing, it's pretty painful because you're like, you just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. But when it goes badly, I'm more just like either upset with myself or like, why'd I fail to connect? I mean, now when like they're bad or you're heckled or something, like the audience is usually on my side already. Right. It's almost like a built-in unfair advantage. Whereas before it was like an unfair in the other way. Because I remember having to build material. You know, now people pay decent money for the tickets. But I remember when I was starting out, you're doing these clubs where they're like free. They're giving away tickets just to make sure that they're moving drinks.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And these people don't give a shit about you. And they're kind of like, prove it. Prove you're funny right now. And when you go in with that attitude, it can be tough sometimes to take risks and build an act. So you have to keep turning over. I'm like, I don't know how I built an act that way. It's very hard, you know?
So wait, so let's go back for 2 seconds. So did you ever meet Joaquin Phoenix? Like, did you ever get to meet him?
Yeah, we chat for a little bit.
And was he weird? Like, no, was he intense?
He was so nice. He was so...
Like normal
and warm and friendly and like...
Like a regular person. Because I've heard he's like so like intense and...
Yeah, but I think he just takes what he does seriously. He was so warm. I mean, I kept doing bits and he was like... I really like your comedy. And I was like, oh, you're pretty good at what you do. You know, you're all right. No. And then he was like, you know, a lot of comics, there's like a desperation, you know, and you're just trying to be funny. You're just like not trying to be like weird. You're just trying to, and I'm like literally like, you're playing the Joker.
Yeah,
like
right,
no
right,
more
exactly.
weird character ever. But
there's nothing weirder.
But I was like, yeah. No, he was awesome.
Did you get like from that experience? Did it kind of help propel your career? Like, what did it do for you? Did it do anything?
It was like just a cool thing. I don't know if I don't know if it propelled anything. I think it was like a thing where people were like, holy shit, you're in the Joker. But like, no, I think what like gets people out on the road is like stand-up clips, and they're like, I've seen you be funny before. But it was so cool that Todd used a joke of mine that hits. Like, it's a joke that people like. So. He used that joke where you're like, I mean, I see people, it's like, man, the internet's brutal because you just see people stealing your joke. Like some British kid playing a video game and he's like, you know, he's doing more joke in this voice. Like, you know, the joke would be like, you know, women, I look at sex like, men look at sex like, parking. No, women look at sex like buying a car. You're like, is it safe? Can I see myself in it long term? You know, will it kill me? And I say, men look at sex like parking a car. We're like, there's a spot. There's another spot. Oh, I have to pay? Never mind. Handicapped. We'll see. You know, I say, hope no one sees this after handicapped. So that joke he used, and I just see British kids like on TikTok playing video games like, women look at sex like, you know.
And they call, of course.
They're just like, and then people are like, this joke's hilarious. But then you get your like diehard fans who are like, fuck you, you piece of shit.
That must happen a lot, but you can't control that, right? Like it happens in any area of anything.
God. I just got a text from a friend and she was like, this is your joke.
You posted that.
Yeah. My friend texted to me and I was like, she's like, you should post it. I was like, all right. I posted
it's true. But so, okay, I've got so many questions for you. So my first.
No one cares about intellectual property theft. That's not a thing that anyone cares about because most people, when you like a thing on social media, you're like, move on, never think about it again. And they never think about it again. But someone put work into that thought and that joke, and we hone jokes in clubs trying to get jokes to work, and those people who just do that will never know the satisfaction of cracking a joke. It is satisfying, I'm sure, you know. So then how do you like, what is your so you're 35, right? Mm-hmm. How long have you been a comedian for or doing stand-up for? I mean, like my whole life, honestly. Like, I started like 18, so were you always funny? I was funny in a way, like not like look at this fucking guy. Like I wasn't funny like that. I was funny in a way like I thought it was like cool to be like, you know, clever or witty. So I was trying to, you know, in class, I try to make a funny joke. Like that was my sense of humor, was like, you know, you go from like trying to make your classmates laugh to then maybe like 11th grade, you're like, can I make the teachers laugh? Like I want to make the adults laugh, you know? So I think at first the teachers were like, fuck this guy. And then by the end they were like, he's kind of fun. Like I remember we did a thing, we do community service for senior year. What kind of school did you go to? It was like an all boys school on the Upper East Side. Okay. Yeah. And it was, and and we had to do community service and then do a presentation, small school. And, I turned that community service into a stand-up routine. I was like, I really want to be a comic. I love stand-up. And it killed. Like, it really killed. But to the point, like, it was a false sense of security because they already liked me. They wanted me to be fun. They thought I was funny as a person. Yeah. So they like were rooting for me to succeed. Whereas like then you start doing open mics and these people are like, you fucking suck.
Well, also I feel like you're like, I don't know yet, but like the evolution of you. Normally when I have like most comics I know, they come from a very dark background or dark place.
Yeah,
and that's how they get.
Me. No, we all have our stuff.
Like you remind me of a guy I went to college, like when I went to high school, like at some Jewish camp, I went to high, you know what I mean? Like some like guy that I knew from Camp Ramah or from I don't think that's
school. Necessarily true. I think
not because you do Jewish jokes, but because you just seem like a nice guy who just like is like you said, sarcastic, funny.
Well, it's a cliche that like every comic has to be this morbid fucking mess. Is
it a cliche?
Yeah, I think so. I think like why does every comic like there are different. I think you need to just be who you are.
Yeah,
and you're either funny or you're not. Like I don't like the idea that I have to be some like brooding dude in a leather jacket on stage. Like society's fucked. That's not who I am. I'm a guy who's like. I think it's cool to be like the funny guy in the room. Like I got into comedy because of like Rodney Dangerfield, Adam Sandler movies when I was a kid. I was like, he's so silly, like I got it more like comics were like the tension breakers and the disruptors to me where, Rodney's the guy who walks into like the country club and is like, look at these fucking jerk offs. Like that was that character. And I was like, hell yeah, that's the guy. Everyone's like snooty and he's mocking them.
You're right.
And Sandler was the same way. I'd watch those movies as a kid. And then I really got into stand up and, Dave Attell in New York was so influential for me because he was so witty and like brilliant. But he had this quality where he could connect to any audience. And I was like, this is like what comedy is, and like, Greg Giraldo was so big for me when I was, a young stand-up. I loved that they seemed like smart, but they were also humble and never condescending to a crowd. My goal was like, I'm an entertainer. That's all I am. I'm here to make you laugh. And I like the road for me is like the truth. Like if you don't do the road as a comic, you're not going to be that good a comic.
Right.
If you can't take this shit to Columbus, Ohio and Dallas, Texas and Raleigh and Florida, if you're not taking it all over the country, like you're missing out. That's how you kind of hone and perfect a new hour of material.
Well, how else do people do it if they didn't do that?
They get a deal, like a darling deal with a network, and they're just like, I get it, I'll figure it out.
But how? Like, I mean, have you ever done, I'm Canadian, and there's a thing.
We're in Canada.
From Winnipeg originally, then Toronto.
Big Jew population in Winnipeg.
How do you know?
Because I'm a touring comedian.
So you've been to Winnipeg?
Sure.
Really?
Rumors Comedy Club.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What do you think? This is a fucking game? I put in my work. Tyler?
First of all, is Rumors still? I haven't been to Winnipeg in like 20 years, but I moved to Toronto really
city.
Young. Yeah.
Great city.
And then Montreal. My family's in Montreal.
Sure.
But
good bagels.
Great bagels.
Different than New York. We don't have to compete.
Yeah, no.
It's like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Hemingway. You can appreciate both.
Though.
We don't have to. Because why? Because they're sweeter and because they're like
chewier. Thinner? There's thinner and chewier.
Yeah.
I think they're better.
I'm a New York bagel guy, but I love a Montreal bagel.
They can be both good, fine.
Yeah.
But I'm used to Montreal bagels.
Sure.
I like them better. But I
love a Montreal bagel.
They're delicious.
Montreal food is on its next level.
It's great because it's eclectic. There's a lot of like diversity, culture. But Toronto too is really good. I prefer Toronto. It's just in overall. But what I was gonna say to you is Rumors. Is that even still around? You still go there?
I haven't been there forever, but I played there. Yeah.
Where do you play in Toronto?
I just did a small theater. I forgot the name. Bluma Appel Theater.
I don't know that.
It was great. We did a couple shows there. It was awesome. We got delayed like 6 hours on the way back. I was a part of the Just for Laughs festival.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you done the Just for Laughs?
Of course, many times. Yeah, and they were like, they do this thing where they're like, we're going to set up the car service. The car will get you 3 hours before. I was like, yeah, we got like TSA pre and all that global entry. We don't need a 3 hour. They're like, well, we can't move the car. So we're like, all right, fine. 3 hours early. Then the flight gets delayed like 6 hours. So we're there like 8 hours.
Oh, I know. I just got back from
Yeah, it was
Montreal
awful.
5 days ago.
Yeah.
And it's what's going on there with the travel is insane over there. But the Just for Laughs thing. So I was going to say earlier that people would go there, they would perform in front of all the managers and agents. And then they would hopefully get this was back like 10 years ago.
Even more. You get a deal in like the 90s.
Yeah, 15 years ago or 20. No, like early
a long
2000s.
time ago. Yeah.
I used to work at 3 Arts.
By the time I went there, they were like, you might get a manager.
Maybe. You might get a manager. Well, okay, so that's how you
were at 3 Arts.
I worked at Michael Rotenberg, is Canadian.
Okay.
He sponsored my visa. That was my first real job in the US.
Wow.
And and I worked for a guy. His name is not Dave Becky, because he's also at 3 Arts. He works with Michael. But it was, he had red hair and he would rap.
I hear the Canadian, by the way, now.
Oh, now you can hear it? Right.
Red hair.
And about,
yeah. Sure.
He repped Janine Garofalo. If you say his name, Dave Rath.
I know Dave well.
Is he still around?
Great guy.
He's such a nice guy.
Love Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that was I was like a real kid, like a baby. And I lasted like 8 days at that job.
Yeah.
It was an awful job, like rolling calls, and I was like an assistant to the manager because the idea was I was going to be a comedy manager. I guess it's a whole other story of my life. Couldn't stand that world, but I love the comic part. But my point is,
I just picture you taking calls like on the treadmill, like, That's like the most showbiz thing I can picture. Someone with like a towel around their neck on a treadmill.
That's basically like, yeah. But that was a shitty job. It was like the worst job. I lasted 7 days and I went to Dave and I was like, this is not for me. I'm not going to be doing this. He's like, I thought you were going to
I've known Dave a long time.
He's a really nice guy. Yeah. Who are his clients now?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't so know. Clearly you're not with 3 Arts.
I haven't had a manager in many years. I don't really think they do much. I mean, they were taking a lot of money and they weren't really doing anything. So I was like, my agents are great, but I don't really feel the need for a manager.
So why are people paying like the manager 20? Like they're paying them and the agent. Like you're left with nothing then if you have both.
It's a good question for them.
But
I don't know.
But your agent you like.
I think some people look at it like taxes, like it's a necessary thing that you just have to do. But I was like, you're not moving the needle for me. They'd be like, you should try TikTok. I'm like, yeah, I'm on fucking TikTok. Yeah. You don't know. They'd be like stuff like, you should try this. And I'd be like, you don't know any, like if there was a manager who could have some social media influence, I'd be like, all right, if you provide value, if you're bringing in opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of like, we guide your career. And I'm like, I know older comics. They can like guide me. They can tell me what to do. And then the agents are great. They get me a ton of shit and they keep me working and they,
But it's hard to get, like, this is what I was getting at. So like you said you work out your reps, obviously, by going around the country constantly.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's how you know what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
But even to like to get a manager in your business, isn't it really hard? There's so many people. Like, how do you stand out? Like, how do you like...
You do it like what you said, the Just for Laughs festivals. You get seen at festivals. You try to wow them at a festival. The thing is, whenever you bring up someone to your reps, you're like, you got to see this person. They're like, I'm good. Because they want to discover them.
Of course.
They don't want to be told, like, you got to see this person. They want to be like, I just fucking discovered this dude. So,
right. Well, who takes credit for you?
Oh, jeez. I mean... I have no idea who takes credit for me. I don't know. I've had many managers and agents in my life.
How long has this agent been around for?
A couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so have they done a lot of good,
they're
like
great.
They've helped you a lot?
Yeah, they're great.
But it's kind of like a weird, like kind of like chicken or you need to be at a certain level successful enough to even get the agent, right?
I always tell younger comics, like, just focus on being good and the other stuff will come. If like you can't think about outside stuff, I understand it's like very it can be overwhelming and you could look at other people getting stuff and you could panic, like, why not me? But the truth is, like, are you in this for life? Well, then that person who does this might come right back down and you might do that slow climb and you might have a longer, more interesting career.
Right. Actually, yeah, that's true. So then what was your thing? So you said you were in school, blah, blah, blah. You learned you wanted to be a stand-up. So what did you do? So what was your first thing? So
first like gig that really changed my life was I won a festival in Atlanta called the Laughing Skull Festival. And the prize was a year worth of road work. And I think, so they kind of had to book me at clubs for a year. That was the prize. Like all these bookers were at the festival. So they were like, okay, you're either the opening act or the headliner at every one of these clubs for a year. So I was just like working. I was like, wow, I'm just like a working comic with, a lot of these gigs suck, but they put hair in your chest. Problem is when you're doing bad gigs is you get like a temper because you're being disrespected so much. Like you're doing so many gigs where people are just like talking through your set or ignoring you. And you're just like, so now you're like a dog that like an owner used to beat and you're just like biting people for no reason. So I was just like, I'd be in like an okay crowd and someone like you'd hear a glass shaking and they'd be like, fuck you. And they'd be like, what? I'd be like, sorry.
Right. Like
I was just in Reno all weekend. Sorry.
I was going to say, was there an audience that's better than others? And is there a city or
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg?
Certain cities are great. Yeah. Winnipeg crowds were good. Although, I do remember Madison, Wisconsin is like one of the best clubs in the country. Comedy on State.
Why?
There's a weird combination of like, my friend always says this, like blue city, red state. That's what you want. You get a nice mix of everybody.
That's true. Yeah.
Madison, the club is well run. It's great. There's so many good clubs. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, certain cities.
Well, how many days a year are you traveling?
So many.
Like how many? How many a month?
Almost every weekend I'm pretty much gone. And then like sometimes in between you got to do stuff. So like I'm out for right now it's been like, I've been out for like, about 8 days or so.
So how many days a month would you say you're traveling then? At least 15, 14?
Probably.
So how do you have
makes you appreciate New York.
Any place you live, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it makes you appreciate home. Like you're like, you do a weekend in like Wilmington, Delaware, and then you're like, New York's a good fucking city.
Right. You're seeing all the like armpits of everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of armpits.
Right? So then but
anywhere's cool for like 3 nights, honestly, or 2 nights. Anything's cool.
But it's not 2 nights, right? Because you're doing 2 nights all the time. Like
I know,
2 nights now, 2 nights again.
You can find stuff to do. Like I try to live like the way Bourdain did, minus the very end, obviously.
Yes,
obviously. But like the way he would do the road, right, where he would just kind of appreciate
where he is.
He would really find the good in every city, and I found that inspiring.
You seem like I can't get over how like peppy you seem to be for a comedian.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I've got my shit. Everyone's got their. I mean, like I've never been called peppy in my life. By the way, maybe to like a fitness person, I'm peppy. Where you're like, oh, I thought you'd be horrible. But amongst comics, I've no one's ever been like, you're a peppy guy.
Well, I'm not gonna say like you're not like Mr. Congeniality necessarily, but like I feel like you're someone I would have like gone to school with and grown up with or hang out with. Like you seem like you have like a pretty solid, normal life. And like you would, like I said, like you had one day you were like, okay, I think I want to do stand up. And you seem pretty confident. Like you don't seem like you've had to work out a lot of insecurity or like
I've been
fear
therapy
failure.
for many years. I've got issues. I just, I'm like.
Do you talk about your issues a lot
Sure.
in your comedy?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm definitely regressed a little bit as a human in the last year or so. I mean, like, you go through a breakup and you just kind of regress a little bit. You got to heal and deal with shit. And I think
I didn't bring it up because you told me not to bring it up.
Yeah, but I mean, I brought it up. It's all right.
That's okay.
I mean, we're fine. It's just, you do that and then you're kind of like, it's hard to heal on the road. Like, no one's ever been like, oh, you're in pain? Go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Go away from home. So it's like, yeah, you got to work on stuff. You got to have a good foundation. I bring my friend Gary is on the road with me a lot.
Gary who?
Vita, really funny comic. You'd love him. One of my best friends since we started. We started in open mics together. So, I mean, he's one of my oldest friends. So it's like, he's a good influence. But no, I've got my shit. My parents are supportive though. I'm on good terms with my parents, and like I'm very fortunate. I try to remember when things are bad, like it's okay to have gratitude. It's okay to, a lot of comics like think there's nothing funny about them. Like, no, you'll find funny shit. You don't have to be miserable. There's other stuff there. And I think positivity, if I don't have that, I will sink. So I need to force a little bit of it.
Was this the first, you went out with Taylor Tomlinson, was the girlfriend he's referring to? Was that the first comic you ever dated?
No, I've done it before.
Oh, you have?
Funny women are cool. I mean, it's like, I'm attracted to smart, funny women for sure.
And so then you're not disenchanted. You'll date another comic if you meet them.
Probably not, honestly.
Oh.
It's because it's painful when it's like you're in the
industry.
Yeah, because you have to see them for the rest of your life. Like,
Right.
But that being said, like I care about her very much. I want her to do great. You know, it's
she is doing great, right?
She is, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it must be strange, right? Because it's like
Sure,
you see them
yeah.
all the time, you hear about them all the time. It's not like she's an accountant and you're,
Sure.
you know, like it's always a paths cross.
That's the next one, an accountant.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. I don't know about that one, but you know,
it's strange. It's a strange. It's a strange life. You're just like, all right. I mean, you get to connect on this deep level, but you run a risk, you know,
right,
of it ending.
Well, like even if it's like not even talking about her specifically, in general, like you have a lot in common. You can practice each other's like bits on each other, I guess, right? And whatever else. Do you guys help each other write stuff? Or
Did we? Every once in a while, yeah, we'd run a bit here and there. Sure, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, like, you kind of have a friend you already do that with. So, you know, but we would do that sometimes.
Do you have other writing partners that help you?
I wouldn't say like partners, but yeah.
Or like people?
I have friends who I text like, hey, has this bit been done? Or like, hey, do you want to hop on a Zoom? And you're almost doing it more to just talk it out to a friend. You're like, I need to talk this bit out. So you just kind of say the joke to your friend and you see how they react. And you're like, oh, this guy's got a bit kind of similar. And you're like, what if I did this? Is that different? Like, that's a different bit, you know? Or like, you just kind of do, yeah, you have those. It's also surrounding yourself, like you say, like I'm positive. Like I surround myself with like friends who are pretty driven, and funny, and that pushes you in a great way. Like oh my God, so many of my friends, like, you know, Joe List or Mark Normand or like those guys who like, you know, really write a lot. And
who's the first guy you said?
Joe List.
Joe List.
He's got a new movie out called 4th of July. It's great.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Name me some other ones that you think are really, really good.
That are like close to I mean, Phil Hanley's one of my best friends. Rachel Feinstein's one of my best friends.
Oh, yeah, she's funny.
Yeah, she's like a sister to me. I mean, we're very close.
Do you know Eliza, what's her last name?
Schlesinger.
Yes.
I don't know her really, but I've met her. I don't know her really.
She seems really funny too. She is funny.
I mean, you're a Jewish woman, so that's like
that's
right
why
up your alley.
That's why I find it really funny.
Yeah.
But my favorite, I think, is Bill Burr. I
love him.
He's my favorite.
He just did our podcast.
I saw that.
Bill is like the coolest, man. I opened for him at college when I was at Tulane.
My husband went to Tulane.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tulane.
Yeah, exactly.
Jews.
All the Jews go there. Did you go for your undergrad or did you go for your...
Yeah, I went for like a year and a half.
Oh, you didn't finish?
I didn't finish at Tulane. I finished in New York. But
where in New York did you finish?
NYU. NYU.
Yeah, all of them.
You can do that
Tulane.
with like almost any school.
Yeah, you really can.
It's not that hard. But then...
Isn't it hilarious?
That wasn't that good.
That wasn't that good.
I think you're giving me too much credit for that one.
That was nothing. But
Isn't he hilarious? I'm like, that was pretty standard.
No, it was not. But I will say you are very good. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Bill came to school when I was like 19. I still have the picture of us, and I was such a big fan of his. I was like, oh man, like even back then, I thought he was so funny, and I looked up to him a lot. And he came. I remember it was like the day that God, I forgot the guy's name. He was a Yankees pitcher who like crashed a helicopter into a building in Midtown, and Bill was like, did you hear about that? And I said, like, yeah, I thought you were a Red Sox fan. He goes, not that big a Red Sox fan. It's like classic Burr voice. He's like, I'm not that big a fucking Red Sox fan. But he was so nice to me. It meant so much to me. He was so, when you're a young comic and you look up to someone, it's like, that goes such a long way. And we were on Conan together like 10 years later. And I hadn't seen him since then. I very much steered clear of guys I respect because I just was like, let me just get good in the shadows, and they'll see me when I'm good. I don't want them to see me when I know I'm not good yet. I know this takes time. That's why I love the road because I could fail. Bill Burr actually calls it. I've told him this, like how I quote him on this all the time. But I'm like, he calls it killing in obscurity. You get good killing in like Des Moines, Iowa or something. So no one sees you except the people in Des Moines, Iowa.
Right.
You know, now everyone is like posting every clip on social media, even brand new comics. But they didn't have that when I was a new comic. Thank God for me, because I wasn't good.
Right.
So, I mean, I understood joke structure, but you know, you kind of just start killing in these weird cities and you're like, I'm figuring this out. So yeah, I remember doing Conan with Bill Burr and he was so fucking funny. I remember it was like the craziest lineup. I've done late night sets before, but the lineup was like, it was like Bill Hader, Bill Burr, and then me. I was like, this is like insane. This is like two of my favorite comedians.
That's incredible.
And they're both so freaking cool. I mean, but I remember talking to him. He's like, where do I know you from? I was like, I just have one of those faces. You know, it's like what you said. You're like, you remind me of a guy I went to college with. I'm like, nah, you don't remember. It's like 10 years ago. And he was like, oh, all right. But now I know him.
And is he like I feel like he's the comedian's comedian. Like, I think all the comics love him too. Like,
he's prolific. He's prolific. He's clever. He's like everything you want a comedian. He's like, he's one of the best ever.
Yeah, I think so. Who else would you say? Like, well, what's your take on like Dave Chappelle? Everyone finds him to be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone. There's a lot of controversy.
Well, no. But I'm saying, like, but I feel like people put him on this pedestal. Like, he's so great.
Well, I think it gets hard when that happens.
Yeah.
Because I think there's an expectation, and it's like I think Dave is obviously an amazing comedian, and I do get annoyed though with all the like, oh, they're gonna cancel Dave. I was like, dude, Netflix literally publishes him taking a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you talking about? He's not getting canceled.
No, he is one that will never get canceled.
He did that speech and they published it. I'm like, he's fine. Calm down.
Well, how come nothing ever happens to him though? Like,
how come? I mean, well, first off, I hope nothing does, because that, because I think free speech is important.
I totally agree.
But I also don't. I think this like fear of it, like being like, Dave is a great comedian. Like, I don't like when comedians get turned into martyrs. I think our job is to be funny. So
it is your job.
So when it turns into like this larger thing, I'm like, hey, he's doing great. He's fine. Everyone settle down. It's all buzz. I find it's like, it's almost like a shock jock tactic from back in the day where they're like, they're trying to cancel us. And then you rile up their fans, and those guys are making a shitload of millions. I'm like, well, your fans aren't.
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's almost like you're duping people. So I'm kind of like, you know what? My life's going great. No need for that.
But you're not nervous about yourself being canceled or what you say, or like,
if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to lose sleep about it. I mean, like, I've gotten a taste of it very young, where I got in trouble for a joke in like 2013. And you know what? It was annoying. I was pretty anonymous in the business. So it sucks when you're known for just like a joke that people don't like. But I've also, I think you live your life and you try to be a decent person, and hopefully that's your reputation. And if it happens, I think people will be like, hey man, he makes jokes. He'll miss sometimes. He's a nice guy. And that's that, It just got so... I don't think are comics really getting canceled over shit they say? I think like when it's like, Bill Cosby, you're like, yeah, that wasn't over a joke. You know?
I hope you're right. Like, I think your job is to be funny and to say things you laugh at, and you make fun of everybody. It's not like you're picking one person, not you personally, like in general. But I feel like it's gotten out of hand. Like, everybody is now like having to be, I feel, are very like watching what they're saying and trying to be very like, I think skittish because they don't want to get canceled.
Yeah. The problem is the content has outweighed quality. Like the quantity has really outweighed, quality. So everyone's just speaking, like, people are riffing on topics that are dangerous to riff on. So when you write a joke on one of those, you can kind of stand behind it. You're like, well, that was written, that was prepared, I put thought into it. But when you're just like freestyling on like trans people, you're like, oh shit, this could be dangerous. And then, I think everyone's done too many podcasts now to really be canceled for that shit. I think everyone's like, Colin Quinn will say like, all you need to cancel us is Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's like, it's true. I mean, but at the same time, I think people are just like over it. I think the way it swung one way, it'll swing back the other way almost like too hard, where you're like, all right, well, that's like, Johnny Depp's trial was at the perfect time. Let's put it that way.
I'm so glad that actually did happen because I think that helped the pendulum go back a bit.
Maybe.
Then what happened? So where is that Aziz guy? He was so funny. He got canceled.
Aziz? He didn't get canceled. I mean,
he kind of got canceled.
Well, Aziz was like and does anyone want to hear a white guy talk cancel culture, by the way? Is the most fucking played out shit.
No, it's not. I want to know.
I
asking.
think Aziz, Aziz was really unfair.
I think it was really unfair.
And I think he felt really bad about it. And I don't think he really,
deserved it? He didn't deserve it.
No, not at all. I mean, so, it was a bad date. You know what I mean? Like, it was a bad date.
That's basic, but I'm saying like it could be this person's word against somebody else's word, and it can like destroy your life.
But he was a victim of like that. We were talking that pendulum. Like, he was a victim of like that moment in time.
Is he coming back though? You think
he is back? He put out a Netflix special right after it. He's doing great.
I
think he's put out 2. And
he has.
And he has another movie that just actually had suspension because Bill Murray got in trouble for some on-set behavior. So worry about Bill Murray, not Aziz right now.
Okay, good. Well,
Aziz is doing fine.
He's doing fine then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, then let's go back to then how. Oh, by the way, you have a podcast too. The other one that you started.
I have two
Speaking of
podcasts. I have We Might Be Drunk with Mark Normand, and I have Games with Names, which is just come out with Julian Edelman from the Patriots.
And what I was going to say to you is, ironically, today I got like a newsletter that like talked all about your podcast.
Really?
With Edelman. Yeah, it was so strange. Like. That I got
Julian,
it the same day.
He's like
Julian.
He's a super handsome Jew. He's ripped. We're like, if we're the Inglourious Bastards, he's Brad Pitt, and I'm one of the weak Jews. I'm like the BJ Novak, Sam Levine. We've changed next to each other because we're banking episodes, and I'm like, oh my god, you want to feel bad about your physique? Change next to a former like badass wide receiver who's still shredded, and he'll complain about his body too, which is so annoying.
He does.
He'll be like,
He's
I'm
so
like,
cute.
He'll be like, I'm like, I'm like, this is like PG-13. I need pay-per-view abs. I'm like, fuck you. You're shredded.
Is he funny?
Yeah, he's funny and he's cool. I mean, he's the best. He's like, yeah, he's.
How did that even come about? Like you and this athlete?
I think they wanted a New York comedian who knew sports.
Well, how did you guys become? Were you guys friends? Or did someone connect the two of you?
Yeah, we were connected through, I think,
your
our
agent?
agency. Yeah, and his company was looking for a New York comedian who could talk sports. So I think they like. First off, Julian's from the Bay Area, and then he's a Boston sports legend. So we have that Boston-New York rivalry.
Yeah.
And I can trash the Boston teams, and you could trash New York. And I think that's a fun rivalry. So, we take like classic games and we relive them with the people from the games. It's a really fun show. We've had like Eli Manning was the first episode. We have Peyton. We have, Paul Pierce. All these great athletes come on, and it's a good show.
Wow. And so basically, did you audition for this? Like if we're looking for like a comedian, where you're like,
I wouldn't say I auditioned, but like I went to his apartment with all his friends and we had burgers and we watched football, and I think they want to make sure that we vibe.
Right.
But, and I want to make sure too, I don't want to sign up for something where it's like, I'm like, this
awkward.
dude's a freaking dolt. No, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's cool and funny and really good.
And so how many episodes did you guys bank already?
We've got like 12 banked. There's 24 in the first season, so we'll finish it out.
Wow. So who was it? So you had Eli, Peyton. Who else did you have on there?
A lot of football guests are the ones banked because when we were doing it, that was who was available. But we're gonna get a lot of like basketball and like hockey and baseball too. But we had Calvin Johnson, Megatron, Ricky Williams, Michael Irvin, Michael Vick, like a lot of big guests.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how often are you going to be taping that? Is that in New York that you're doing it?
We were taping in New York. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do for the rest of the episodes. I mean, we can kind of set up shop anywhere. But,
exactly.
But we got a cool studio in New York. And he's the man. I think people will, if you like sports and you like reliving great games with the people playing them, and we're just silly. It's a fun time.
That's amazing. I feel like you're when I saw you, like, do you feel like there's momentum on you, or is it just me, myself, thinking this because I just found you?
Friends will text me nice stuff, but I'm too in it. Like, I'm not home enough. I'm working on the next thing. I panic. Like, I put out a lot of comedy specials, so I think I'm always kind of panicking for new material and like trying to be like, when can I get the new thing out? So that's a big thing. And
there's no, do you have anxiety for kind of like figuring out more?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, the special that really helped me was called I Got This, and that's on YouTube, and that's like got 11 million views on YouTube, and that really changed things for me. Every network passed on that, and I was like, this is a good hour. This is pretty painful.
Every network passed on that?
Everyone passed on it, yeah. It was a hard time to sell a special. It was like, unless you were famous, they weren't really biting unless you were famous, and I was just like, all right, I was pretty hurt at the time, but I was still determined. I was like, well, I'm done with these jokes. I'd like to tape this. And I remember I did it in New York for like the HBO people. And this one guy at HBO like really loved it and was trying to bring everyone in. And the higher ups were like, yeah, they want something artsy. They want something like that. I'm like a pure like kind of joke guy. They want some like, and then I got molested and I'm wearing a turtleneck or so. That's what they want, and I don't have that. So, and then, so that hurt. And of course, like, at the time I was like, fuck HBO. But like looking back, it's like no one watches HBO specials anymore. So it's like the best thing that happened to me. Yeah, Netflix passed, Amazon I didn't want. I probably would have then. And then my agent was like, let's go to LA. Let's run for Netflix. I was like, all right. So I came here, my crowd killed. you know, no dice. And then I just told my
Really?
agent, I'm just going to film it. Fuck them. And then I did. And then Comedy Central was like, we'll put it on our YouTube and we'll pay you to put it on our YouTube. And I was like, well, they got a huge YouTube following. And my whole thing was like, you need a link to, like, all your friends are going to share your special. And then I've had specials on Comedy Central where they're like, watch it at 11 p.m. And everyone's like, what is this, 1992?
Right.
No one does that. You know, it takes you like 4 times for someone like, you got to watch this show. And you're like, all right. And then another friend's like, have you seen this show? That's like, it takes like 6
true.
of those.
I think there's like research on that. It takes, I think, 4 times.
But if there's a link.
If there's a link,
that helps.
It helps, but people watch it in segments. If it's good, like they'll, you know, they won't watch the whole thing maybe, or they'll
but that's what
look
happened.
at it. They'll stare at it a few times.
But on Twitter, people would be like, watch this. And I'd be like, but if they watch this and they have the link there, it's like, my God.
They'll tap it first. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or like click it. Yeah.
And if the first few jokes rope people in, I opened with like all Me Too jokes. And they were all like, I think an angle that comics weren't hitting, which was kind of like a little more down the middle. I think I heard a lot of like comics like, you can't say nothing to women anymore. And I'm like, that's not the problem. Yeah. I think it's the rapes, but whatever. But I did like, you know, so I did a lot of jokes about that. And I think that like, that was kind of like, I came out of the gate hard, and I do that with this new special too. I come out of the gate hard. I'm like, I'm aware of the attention span. So I'm like, let's come with some hard jokes quick. I'm like, I want that first 5 minutes to be like, bam, bam, bam jokes. So, I think that helped. And then a lot of comics, I think, like that I did it that way, that I was kind of like, you know, middle fingers to the industry.
Good,
but really, it was like my only option. People were like, this is punk rock. I'm like, no, it's literally my only choice.
Right. Everyone turned you down. Right?
Yeah. But then it got so many views so quickly that I think people were like, holy shit.
And you think it's because the first 5 minutes was so good? And
no, I think it's a tight special. I think it's my best special, probably. It's like, it was a lot of work. I put a lot of work into it, and it's
and how long? You said it was an hour, right?
It's like 48 minutes or 49 minutes probably.
That's a lot of material.
Yeah, it was a lot of jokes, and I think a lot of comics just like, they related to it, so they were pushing it. A lot of comics were mad that they saw a good thing that got passed on, because then they were probably like, I can make a good thing that will get passed on. I relate to this.
Right.
So I think a lot of comics like took, pushed me for that reason. And then, the pandemic, it was funny. I put that out to tour. I was like, this will help my, I'm not getting a lot of money on this. I'm putting this out to sell tickets on the road. And it really helped. I got a lot of fans out of it, but I can't tour because COVID just fucking hit. It came out February of 2020. So,
oh my gosh, a month prior.
But the reason it got so many views was probably also because of that, because people are home and they're like, we can watch this.
Right.
So long run, it did help me. But yeah, I really want to tour, and this really hurt. So, during COVID, what I did was I really was like, well, I need to really work on a new act. I need to figure out how to perform. I can't perform. There's no clubs open in New York. So I shot a Rooftop special where I just put an Instagram, like, do you have a rooftop? I'll come to your roof, get your friends together, get some White Claw, get some beer. I'm bringing a camera crew with a fucking drone. Let's do this. And I hit up like so many rooftops for so long. I just kept doing roofs, and we just kept filming it. And
how many rooftops did you actually end up doing?
So many. I mean, I did it for like months. So I just kept doing roofs, and then we probably filmed like 10 of them. But I just kept doing, I mean, I had to do them to get in shape too, because I was like, man, I'm so out of comedy shape.
Right.
It's not my best work because it's like I'm out of comedy shape. But it was a really cool thing that I'm glad we did. My friend Matt Salakuse directed that, and he was so passionate about it. Like, literally shows up on a roof in Morril with a drone. He's like, we can't go too far this way because there's a no fly thing here.
Oh my gosh.
So we're really dealing with these weird rules. But
I think I heard you talk about that on Mark Maron's podcast. Actually,
I don't know if we had done it yet. Actually, when I did.
I thought that's what you guys were doing. Maybe. Oh no, you were talking about doing a lot of Instagram lives. You were doing a lot of those.
I don't know. Yeah.
Was that not the one?
I don't know. That was like. After a while, that was a lot of work, that Rooftop one, because something would go wrong on every roof. Like, things go wrong in venues. So if you're on a roof, we're like, there's not an outlet here, we need to charge a battery, or like there's not, the mic just didn't work. We were down by like the World Trade Center and the mic just didn't work. We're in Bushwick. It's like a shitty ass roof, and like people are hanging off. We're like, are they going to be okay? We're climbing ladders to get on these weird roofs. It was such a it was a great thing. I hope I never have to do again.
Right. But you had to do something to like work, kind of just like work the muscle, right?
Oh my God. I remember the idea, where I got the idea was where I got the idea was I was doing these, like, they were like, you can do 10 minutes on my show at the, down by the water, So I'd be like traveling far during COVID to get 10 minutes of it. And I'm like, I can't do, I need an hour. I need to go long. I need to experiment.
Yeah.
I'm very experimental with my stand-up. I fall ass backwards in the punchlines. I'm not the type of guy that's like, this is perfect. I need to figure it out. So, I need long sets, and I started bringing friends with me, and it was like turned into like, we're hanging out. This is great. It was a great experience.
You call, you call on the audience a lot too.
Yeah.
That's kind of like I feel like you do that.
Well, I
see that on Instagram.
I do that to promote gigs. I do that because I'm like, it's not my favorite thing, but it's like, it's fun. It's spontaneous. It makes the show special. If I do an hour, I'll do a little of that anyway, just to make the show feel unique.
Yeah.
Or I'll make fun of the city. I'll have fun with them. But I do that really to promote gigs, because I can post without burning material.
Right. Oh, okay. What would you say that you're known for? Like, there's like, okay, he's really good. That his thing is he's really known for great writing, joke writing.
I don't know what I'm known for. I think just like a joke guy. I'm like old school jokes, like kind of like a short form jokes a lot, probably.
Not like I don't know, but like, I feel like you're a very good writer.
Thank you.
I mean, not like I don't. I mean, even the thing on David. How did you even get the David Letterman thing? He picked a few comics, or what?
I don't even think he picked them. I think like one of his people picked them, and he probably approved them. He was probably like, "I'm fine with this." But my agent was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to talk to Letterman." Psych. Yeah, let's fucking do it. It's David Letterman. So,
right.
I mean, I had like daydreams as a kid. Like, I'd be in like, the shower, like, oh, so Dave, like you're an idiot kid pretending to like be interviewed by Letterman, And you
were interviewed by him.
Yeah, he was really, really cool. It was a really great experience. He was really, really warm and friendly. And like, of course, I've seen the clips of him like burying guests sometimes, where like, I guess he had to save the interview. So you're like, man, what would be worse than bombing for Dave? Like, let me bring the fucking heat,
Yeah. He didn't seem like he knew what was going. Like he kind of felt like he didn't really know the comedians very well when he was interviewing a little bit.
He said he watched my Rooftop stuff. He said, he said he's like, and we talked in the green room before for a while, and he was like, I've watched a lot of your stuff, and he was really. He said, I like how resourceful you are, and like
about your stuff. I'm talking about the other comedians more. I didn't because I saw yours and a couple other ones. And he seemed like he wasn't on yours. He asked you questions that were more personal. The other ones he didn't. That's what I noticed.
I don't know. I think he did watch everyone who came on.
Really? I'll watch it again.
Yeah, you don't have to. I don't want to give you homework. Yeah, no, he was. That was a great experience. That was really cool.
No, I'm sure. Like that was like because he's David Letterman, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he was very warm after the interview and before, and like at one point I came out because you do stand up before, and I had a phone, I guess, bulging out of my pocket, and first joke hits, and then someone in the top yells out, "Sam," and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Sam, is that a phone in your pocket?" And I'm just like, is someone fucking with me? So they say, "Is there a phone in your pocket?" And I just said, "No, it's my cock." And that's like, I'm just trying to like volley, I'm trying to save it. And they said, "You got to restart the set so there's no phone in your pocket." And I'm like, ugh. And Dave like jokingly runs over, like, "Get the fuck off stage." And like, he's hamming it up being silly. And then he grabs me, he goes, "I'm so sorry. This is so awful. I'm so sorry." And I said, "It's okay. It's all right." So I go back and I go back out. I tell the same joke again. It crushes because they really want me to do well. Now they feel bad for me, the crowd. And even after the interview, he goes, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Hey man, like I've done this before. It happened. It's all right." He was, and he was really like, it felt sincere when he like really was like, "It was really great talking to you." And I was like, "Dude, this is like, it was a big deal for me."
Huge
There was
deal.
one point where he was like, "Well, how will you know you've made it?" And I was like, "I'm talking to David Letterman."
Yeah,
what do you
exactly.
mean? How do I know I've made it? This is pretty good.
Well, that was fun. That would be my next question. Like, when do you know? Like, that's a pretty big moment. Like,
I think my goals are not. I wouldn't say that I'm not ambitious, but I'm doing what I want to do. So that's the thing. Where
and
it's
making money at it.
Yeah, it's going very well. So it's like it'll be how I know I feel like I've made it. I feel like I have goals to be in like bigger venues and I have other things. Problem is now like so much of what we do is like podcast based, and I love it. It's a great way to reach new people and to promote your stuff. But I really
I'm number 448.
You're 448. I've done 448 podcasts.
Yes.
But the thing is,
I feel special.
Are people going to get that reference? I posted, Jonah Hill had a thing. He tweeted, I have too much anxiety to do press anymore. And I think I wrote back like, cool, I'm doing 447 podcasts to promote my special, but good for you.
Yeah. And then I wrote, I'm 448.
Yeah. But if you're an actor, it almost is cool to not do press. You almost have mystique. If you're a comic, you can't really do that, I feel like. But I didn't sign up to this to be like a radio guy. That's the thing. I got into this because I was like, I want to be like, a sitcom guy. I was like, I grew up of that era. So I was like, I want to be like Gary Shandling or Jerry Seinfeld or something. And then it's like, oh shit, I have to be Don Imus. Like that's not what I wanted to do, So
I love Don. If people don't know who that is, that was like he was the opposing person I think of him as the enemy of Howard Stern. Have you been on Howard Stern yet?
No, I haven't.
Do you want to be?
It's funny. I didn't really grow up listening to him. I know it's like almost a sin to say. I
really?
grew up in the city, so I wasn't like, I didn't really have like a commute. So I wasn't like, I can't drive.
That's true. Oh, I heard you say that on Whitney Cummings' podcast that you can't drive.
You heard me get a word in on Whitney Cummings' podcast?
I was going to say, I'm really happy you said that because that was what I was going to tell you when you walked in. I'm like, I try to like do some like research on you, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll listen. I'm like, okay, he was on Whitney Cummings' podcast. I don't listen to her, so I'm like, I'll listen to it to see. It was all about, she talked the entire time. There was not one piece of information that I could get from you. I couldn't glean one thing. It was all about her being on Prozac or anxiety. Yeah. And then that was a problem. I couldn't get anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what were we talking about?
And by the way, that's why I went to the Mark Maron podcast to see if I can get some information. And that's when I thought you were, it was like, you were on, like, I thought during COVID or.
Yeah, I was during COVID, but it was before I shot the thing. I was still out here. I was in LA. We shot that in person. That was like a big deal that we met in person at the time.
Oh,
COVID.
It was. Okay.
Because he wasn't, I mean, a lot of people weren't meeting and he was like, are you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm
You're fine, right?
I was pretty paranoid at first, for sure.
Because of Michael, by the way, I know Michael Yo very well too. And you said that you guys were friends too. That was crazy what happened to him.
I know.
Because he was super healthy. Like, it was like, it's random.
It's always scary when a healthy person, something horrible happens to them because you're like, well, I'm not the picture of health.
Right? And so if it can happen to someone who's super healthy, that was the thing. But anyway, so the Whitney Cummings thing, so I didn't get anything for you, unfortunately. Sure. What would be like the idea? Like when in your, getting a sitcom. Of like success?
Yeah. I mean, I guess,
Is it getting a sitcom? Because do people care? I don't. Netflix specials? Is that the big deal now? I guess it is.
Yeah.
What you have coming out?
Yeah. I mean, it's out. Yeah. September 1st. It's out. Same time tomorrow on Netflix. I'm doing the things I want to be doing right now. And I really can't, I think sometimes like, when do you know you made it? I don't think that big picture. I try to look day to day. Like obviously I have ambitions, but I have my own whiskey out right now. That's really cool called Bodega Cat.
How did you even start that?
I have a drinking podcast and my friend and I were like, we should have our own whiskey. And then we're like, we probably have people listening who have a distillery. So many emails about like, we'll make your whiskey. So we went with a guy who seemed pretty legit. It's called Bodega Cat Whiskey. You can get it at bodegacatwhiskey.com. It'll be your favorite rye. It's really good. It's such good whiskey. I'm sorry I don't have a bottle, but I'll next time I'm here, I'll bring you a bottle.
You promise? Or is that just like lip service? I don't drink whiskey, but my husband would take it.
Yeah. Well, now I got to rush it over. I don't drink it, but we could send it or something. No, we'll definitely. It's really good whiskey. I promise you'll like it.
How long has it been out for?
It just came out. We've been working on this forever to get it out, and so I'm doing that. I got the podcast. I wrote an animated show that I'd love to make. We couldn't sell it. It was my friend Dana Gould, and we made it. And Dana's brilliant. I've learned a lot from working with him, but. That's a thing I'd love to make. Right now, touring's great. I'm happy touring. I'm going to go a real hardcore tour next year. I'm hitting like smaller cities right now to kind of build up the new hour so I have an act. So like, that's why I'm going to Fort Wayne, Indiana on Thanksgiving. My parents are thrilled. And,
wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they are just
fucking
thrilled.
Build it up.
Jeez, you just constantly are on the road. Okay, so wait, get back to the special that's out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so because you didn't sell the other one that got 11 million views.
Yeah.
Is that how you got this one?
I think that helped.
Yeah. So
I think they were like, people will watch. Yeah.
So then so after that, did you go to them and say, hey, I want to do a special? Did you make a special? What was the process? Give us like
my agent,
the story.
Is very crafty. And he basically was like, I think you're missing out being in business with Sam. Like maybe we could do a deal. So it's like a licensing deal where I still own the special, but they get it for 2 years. So it was a creative way to get on there while still having ownership. I think ownership is like really good to have your specials, and it's a good way to like get to reach a new audience. Like, would I get more views on YouTube than Netflix? Probably, honestly. But
especially now,
for sure. But at the same time, you know, I was like, hell, I mean, look, the Netflix ship is sinking. Let's grab a lifeboat.
Exactly.
And fucking have some fun.
Did they give you like a licensing? Like, did you get like obviously they're paying you.
Yeah, they're paying me. Yeah.
You're not getting like the $25 million fee that, let's
24,
say. 24.
You know, it's like, it's all right.
It's okay.
You know, it's
You'll
like
take
not a
it.
big deal. Yeah. But it's a new thing. It's good. It's like, you know, good to diversify always. Like, you get fans from different places, and you reach people that you wouldn't have reached. And
but are people like not that Andrew Schultz thing that came out where he had to buy it back?
Pay-per-view style, yeah.
Yeah. Is that just the way that people are doing it more? Because
I don't know.
Do they edit it? Do you have to be very careful of what you do say when you're on like a Netflix or an Amazon?
I think it's all bullshit. I don't think we really have to be that careful. I don't know what happened in his situation, but I know he like felt the need to buy it back, but he probably made way more money that way anyway. So at the same time, it's like, well, maybe that's why he did it. You know, for me, I've never felt like there's a couple times they've like been like, we don't know about this bit, and I'm like, well, it's in there. So
right,
you know, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't think, you know.
They don't say cut it out or
that is hilarious if Amazon's like, we have a problem with this joke. We'll let people die in our warehouses, but this joke is upsetting us.
Well, they're scared also for the same reason, like cancel culture stuff.
I think it's all overblown in general. I think like, you know, I remember Comedy Central had like an 8-minute dead baby joke, and they were like, this can't be in. I was like, well, it is. So don't know what to tell you. Right. And they were like, all right. So I had to open the joke by being like, Comedy Central wanted me to say that they don't think this is funny. Me, on the other hand,
that's how you open the joke.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It was a dicey one.
I'm gonna go look at that. Did you get any kind of hate from that?
Oh yeah, tons of death threats.
Really?
Let's fucking go.
But that also just that gives the controversy must be really helpful for you, right? So more people watch it.
Oh, I thought the joke was pretty funny. I was kind of more mocking the person who got offended by the joke than the actual baby. But I think it's always good. And I think it's good for comedy when people have control. So I think like Andrew buying it back is great. That he just now owns it and has control, and like he makes that money, and then he could do whatever he wants with it in a couple of years. So like, you know, with Comedy Central, like the problem with them was just having people see it. Like that was the thing, is like they won't adapt.
But why? I don't get that. Why are they so behind the times?
It's an old model, and this is what they're married to, and a lot of good people got laid off there, and it's upsetting. You know, it's an upsetting thing that like they just couldn't adapt. And you know, who knows? Maybe Netflix is next. Maybe I got in right as the ship is sinking. You
probably exactly.
You know, maybe it already sank.
It could have.
It's over.
Maybe by the time. Yes, you're right. How about the roasting on Comedy Central? That's like their big thing. Were you ever? You never. I wanted roasted.
To do it. No, I never really did it.
How come you never got the chance?
I don't think I was a big enough name. I think they were going with like big names.
They had some not so big names,
but they usually had like a connection to the person getting roasted.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. I love that part though. That's the only thing they had that's really great now.
Yeah, roasts are fun.
They're really good.
It's old. It's like old. It's like the oldest form of comedy. It's like the oldest form of comedy.
But it works and it's super funny.
It is weird when it's like, man, the jokes have gotten so mean. It's like they used to just be like surface jokes where it's like this person looks like this, and and then after a certain point they're like, this guy got molested in 7th grade, and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
And they're so cringeworthy. Some of the jokes, like. Terrible. But Nikki Glaser, who I love, are you friend? I think you're, yeah. She was on all the time. Like she was like a main.
She crushed it on there.
She was so good.
Well, she's good at those. Like she has short jokes. She's good at those.
She's very good at that. She's doing really, really well actually now too, with like her F-Boy special and like all these other big specials. Then how did you do? Like you did like America's Got Talent. Is that the one you did? Yeah. Last Comic Standing. Did you do that one too?
Yeah, both terrible experiences.
Both?
Of course. Reality TV.
I know.
Put a fucking gun in my mouth.
Well, why did you do it?
Because I was desperate to get fans and desperate to sell tickets on the road and stop playing the papered rooms of people that didn't care who the hell I was. And it was hard to work on jokes when they just don't give a shit about the show.
Right. Well,
they're there because there's nothing to do in Syracuse, not because I'm funny.
Well, yeah,
you know?
Unfortunately.
So Yeah, I did all those. I mean, I remember America's Got Talent. It was like, I mean, God bless Howie Mandel. He's a sweet guy. And I do feel like Mel B was kind of flirting with me a little bit. But Probably not. Yeah. But I thought she was.
Maybe. We'll say she was.
Yeah, but I remember like, they fuck with you. It's like 5,000 seater in the Palisades. You know, you fly out here. You carefully go over this set. I saw them tear to shreds two Jewish rappers before me, and by they I mean Simon. And I was like, oh my God, he's being so mean. I thought they were kind of interesting, you know. So it was pretty rough. And then so I'm like, how do I endear myself to the crowd? So Simon's like, I don't know what they're gonna ask me. He's like, tell me about your worst gig. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll create a little underdog scenario where they want to like me. And I told a true story. A guy just walked up to me and spit on me on stage, and he's like, well, I hope you do better than that tonight. And I was like, me too. And I killed. I had a great set. It's hilarious in the edit. I do a fart joke and it crushes. It just crushes. And for some reason in the edit, the way they packaged it for the show, it's me doing this fart joke, cut to all four judges give me a standing ovation. So it looked like that's the joke that did it. But really, I did like 4 minutes or so of like just bang, 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 hard jokes. Standing O, I get off and they're like, we don't know if you made the cut. And I'm like, well, they all just said I did.
Are you serious?
It's a terrible experience. And then
everyone says that.
Yeah, and then then they're like, Simon's in a bad mood. I'm like, cool, me too. Been here 11 hours. One of us is leaving in a private jet. So who do you think's in a worse mood? And then and then I go back and it's like you get the hotel they put us up in had construction, so I got no sleep. And I was like, I feel like it was on purpose. They want you irritable. And and they try to get you to shit talk other guests. I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know, I gave them nothing. I was like, I don't want to give them any. So they can cut and be me being like, ugh, like to someone's life, you know. And you also feel bad for these dance troops there who are like, literally like they're stretching, they're warming up. I can go on stage drunk. Like these people, this is like a real thing they have to do. They have to like stay ready. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, whenever you need me.
Exactly.
But I remember going on call times like 10 a.m. I go on stage at like midnight. And they're like, man, yeah, your material made me like kind of tired. And I was like, yeah, I wonder if it's because it's midnight. I wonder if that played a role in it. I did well in the second round, but they didn't move me. I remember George Lopez was like a guest judge. In my head, I'm like, he's a comic. He's going to love me. He's a comic. He'll support. He'll get it. And then he had like one golden ticket and he gave it to like a Latino dance troupe. I'm like, he's more Latin than a comic. Damn it. George.
So he didn't support you after all that?
No, I mean, he was nice. He was very nice. And Howie Mandel, I saw him at Montreal like a few months later, and he was like, dude, you got a raw deal. You're really funny. He was really nice to me. And I was like, thanks, Howie. I was like, dude, I watched Bobby's World as a kid. Come on.
That's really, I love it.
Howie's a nice guy.
He's nice, and he's also funny. He's so quick.
He's quick, yeah. He's like a very neurotic, quick.
Very neurotic, and he's super quick though. Like he's got great one-liners that he could just think of so fast.
Yeah, yeah.
So then that was in what year did you do that?
I don't remember. It was years ago.
Like,
it was not a good experience. It was a very desperate move on my part. And I remember a lot of friends were like, ugh, you're doing that. I'm like, hey man, it was not good. I still got fans out of it, weirdly. I mean, it's like,
you did.
Well, I mean, it has like 10, at the time it had like 10 million viewers. Yeah, so like you have one popular 5-minute segment on there, you get a shitload of messages and like, hey, I just need to keep the momentum going. I just need to keep getting people so I can sell tickets on the road so that I can keep writing material. You know, it's very hard to write when it's not your people because they don't listen and they don't really. So that was the goal. It's like get enough people that I can just keep doing what I like and churning out hours of material. You know?
Also, isn't that how you'd get material? Like that experience. You could probably have like a million jokes within that experience.
Yeah. I think you could probably get some.
Like how else do you get your material?
Yeah, you got to live life. You got to do stuff. You got to.
Because you can't get it from just sitting at home all day. Well, can you?
Yeah, you can if you're in your head enough. But then you have a lot of those jokes where I'll just like read an article and I might read something stupid and then I have to make it. Yeah, my friend said this to me the other day. I'm like, no, that was an article I read.
Right.
I have no life.
So you have to go out there.
You got to do stuff. You can write jokes with friends sometimes. You just are like talking. You kind of say something. You're like, oh, that's a bit. That's something. I could play with that. A lot of it's like taking notes, and then you don't really like just come up with material to computers. A lot of like taking notes throughout the day. And then you sit in front of a computer and I'm like, I should go this way with that, or I should go this way with it, you know?
No, give me an example. Give me the day in the life of what you would do. That's what I want to know.
Like an example of a joke. Let me look at I don't even know my phone.
Yeah, where is your phone? Yeah, I want to know how you go about what's your process?
Let me see.
Not to sound like that, but
My process. Let me see what I got.
Or like a day in the life of you besides
a day in the life. Let me see my jokes here. What I'm working on. I was working on like a here we go from yesterday. Let me see. Yeah, like something will happen and I'm let me see what these. I had one the other night where I was like, I just read, it's like you just keep adding lines. It was like, saw one like how someone was telling me, it was like after the Trump raid, they were like, Trump's a malignant narcissist. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, only likes people that like him. And I was like, well, that sounds a lot like me, you know? That sounds a lot like most people I know. Yeah. I was like, most of my friends are like, is he a good guy? I'm like, well, he likes me. I don't know. I mean, he's, you know, I was like, kind of like, you know, if Putin tweeted, you guys got to watch the new Sam Morril comedy special, a part of me would be like, yeah, you know, leading's complicated. He's a complicated guy. You know what I mean? It's like, so that was like an idea. I'm like, let me just add one line. Let's add another line. You just keep adding lines. You're like, where would I go? So like, that's not like a great joke or anything, but that's like a observation that you have during the day. You just keep adding a line. A lot of it's just living in my head. Like, can I come up with another line? Can I come up with another? Is there anything else I'm looking at? Like, see what else I got here. Let's see. Sometimes it will be like a dating thing or like this was just a thought I had. Like when a woman likes me, I'm turned off. That's what I wrote down. It was like, I just noticed that a woman was nice to me and I was turned off. So it was like, oh, this beautiful woman messaged me, you have a wonderful smile. And I was like, this chick is corny.
Really?
Yeah, that was my gut reaction. Isn't that sad?
Why is that?
I don't know. That's like deeper psychological stuff. I don't know. Probably because I'm just like, I mean, it probably goes to like the old Groucho Marx,
I was going to say Groucho Marx
joke,
thing,
right?
yeah.
Where it's like you want to be a member of a club that won't have you. I mean, that's really, it goes probably to that point, I would guess.
That's interesting that that was your first gut reaction. So if like, I was going to say, like, if you're on tour, you must get tons of girls constantly hitting on you.
Not really. No, it's like, I get a lot of dudes who are like, I want to be a comedian.
Really?
That's more what I get than
you don't get girls, like you're a young guy.
Sometimes.
But do you get that? Do you have that same type of like?
It's a lot of young guys. I think sometimes it'll happen, but not like, you know, sometimes.
But you're turned off because if they like you, I mean, you're not like really.
Well, sometimes, you know, but I think it's like that. You have to fight through some instincts that are unhealthy. That like, I mean, that's what I deal with in therapy. Is you try to break patterns that are not necessarily good for you.
So are you in therapy right now?
I'm in therapy.
See, I feel like all comedians are like work. Is that like where you also work out your? Was it you? Or I think this is what I heard on your.
Yeah, no, that was me in the Letterman thing. I said that he said, the joke I think I said to Letterman was like, he's like, you see a therapist that a lot of comics see, and I was like, yeah, and you know, sometimes you're in the waiting room and you hear a big laugh, and you're like, fuck, I got to bring it again this week. That's I have a lot of therapy jokes.
A lot,
yeah.
But a lot of comics I feel have a lot of therapy jokes.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like almost like the toxic comic was a big thing for a while, as you say, but now there's like that self-betterment type comedian who's like working on themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't have to be, I mean, look, there's still toxic, you know, messes, you know, of people out there, but it's different than it was for sure.
So who would you say are the other up and like people that you think are like really, really good?
My friends are so funny. The people I said before, like my friends are so good. I mean,
who
Joe List's special is so good.
Right.
He has 2 on YouTube that are like just killer. I think one's called This Year's Material and the other one's called I Hate Myself. Any of my good friends, you see, I post about them all the time, you know. I love Stavros. My good friend Stavros has a new special. You saw that's really funny, right? Stavros Halkias, that's blown up on YouTube. I mean, I'm very fortunate when I'm surrounded by like really funny people who work hard. So it just makes you like, you feel lazy if you take any time off. You know?
Right. And then is there anyone like you think like, besides Bill Burr, who else, and Rodney Dangerfield, who else do you think is really great?
Well, Dave Attell was like such a big influence. I mean, he was so helpful to me when I was a young comic, and he's still like such a good, I just love him. Like he's just the funniest. So I still think Skankster the Memories is the best comedy album of all time. I think nothing will ever touch that one.
Really?
It's too funny. I mean, he's such an amazing comedian. He's got one of my favorite jokes of all time where he's like, you remember when you're young and you think your dad is Superman and then you grow up and you realize he's just a drunk who wears a cape?
That was him who did that joke?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good joke, actually.
Oh, he's classic. Yeah, he's the best.
So what is your new special? Tell people what the special is on Netflix.
It's called Same Time Tomorrow. It's on Netflix right now, and it's I hope you like it. It's a lot of road sets. It's a lot of editing. I cut a lot of stuff out to make it just very tight because I just want it to be a tight special. But yeah, I think you'll like it if you like jokes and you
like to laugh.
Do you guys like jokes? I hate when people are like, I like to laugh. I'm like, everyone likes to laugh.
Yeah, who doesn't like to laugh?
I feel like Hitler liked to laugh.
Everybody liked.
He just laughed at probably fucked up shit. But
really fucked up shit. You don't do a lot of Jewish jokes. I
do.
Not really.
I got some fucking Holocaust jokes in this one that are bangers. Yeah,
you did. Well, I told you I did it. I said a joke about I don't know. I don't know.
I get a lot. I used to do a joke. I'm like, I'm a Jew. I'm a New York Jew. I'm like, I'm the type of Jew that if I'm in therapy, I complain a lot. I'm the type of Jew that if you don't like Jewish people, I'm not the one that's going to turn things around for you.
That's a good one.
That's a quick one. I had a lot of like, I did, and even the Letterman one, I did a Jew joke.
You did? I don't
remember. The hate group
one.
one.
I have amnesia. What was it again?
Well, it was like, you want to join my hate group? And this guy asked me to join his hate group. And I was like, who do you hate? He goes, blacks, Jews, everyone. I was like, I am Jewish. He's not even doing background checks.
Oh, yeah, I did hear. I remember that's a good one. Yeah,
that bothered me more than the recruiting. Like, maybe want to join the hate group. I'm walking around. I'm holding a torch. I'm like, dude, you know what this flame reminds me of? Hanukkah.
I do remember that. That's totally true. I do remember that. I forgot about that. That's actually why I liked you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Because I heard that joke.
See?
And your grandfather was a CEO of like Loehmann's, which I wrote. That's what I wrote to you.
Self-made orphan. Never graduated high school. Amazing guy. He was the coolest. He was really funny.
He was funny too.
Very funny guy. And very... that's probably why I liked Rodney so much is because he had some of those Rodney like one-liner tendencies. Like he was like very quick, but yeah, he was the coolest. I wish he was alive. He was great.
Did anyone else in your family funny?
My brother's dry. He's very funny in like a dry way. He's good at like and my sister is like a good like bullshit meter kind of like they're all funny in like different ways kind of
right. They're not like super serious and
yeah, and my mom has a great sense of humor. I can like run bits by her.
Oh, you can? That's great.
Yeah, I can like be like, hey, is this funny, Mom? And she'll tell me.
Really?
Yeah.
Did your family live in New York still?
They are.
And do they come see you all the time when you perform there?
Ever since COVID, not really ever. But like I did a show at the Beacon Theater in New York, and they came to that one because that was like a big milestone in New York. I think they wanted to be there, but my therapist sat right behind them.
Really?
Yeah. Is there anything more therapy in New York than like literally like my therapist sitting behind my mother?
That is really
you cannot get more on the nose
than that.
Yeah.
What female comic do you like? What's your favorite?
So many, so many good ones.
Just name me a couple.
Rachel Feinstein's like she makes me laugh so hard.
Oh right, because she's your good friend. You said too.
Yeah.
Anyone else that's like really fun?
Taylor's great, I
wasn't going to bring that up again.
Well, you've kind of set me up for it.
I did not set you up for it. I was like not thinking about her actually when I said that. I didn't even think about it.
Dina Hashem opens for me on the road a lot. She's killer.
I'm actually only asking because I'm looking for like a new person that
You're the one who hates women. Sure.
I don't. That's not what I don't find a lot of women hilarious. I thought like Ellen DeGeneres was really funny.
Yeah, unless you worked for her.
Yeah, well, I didn't think so. That's why I think she's funny. That's why I think she's funny. I think Taylor is funny.
Yeah,
I like Eliza. I like Nikki. I don't know who else is there. I'm asking you to give me some. Give me some.
Like you want like a Netflix thing? I'm trying to think.
No, just in general to go
Caitlin
watch.
Paluffo's really funny. Jessica Curson. There's so many funny. Marina Franklin. Look them up, folks. Come on.
I know. I'm gonna look them up now. I watch some of these people on Netflix and
Erin Jackson's really funny.
See,
okay, look them up.
If they don't get you in the first 5-10 minutes, then you're like, to your point, I just turn it off and I never look at them again. The first 5-10 minutes.
Well, I like women. Let the record state that I think women are cool.
Yeah.
I just wish other people did too.
You're funny. Is there anything else that I can ask you? What kind of food do you like? I don't know. What else?
I'm so easy with food. I'm like, I'll eat anything. I'm like, I love like death row shit. Like we're talking about bagels, lox, cream cheese, capers, the whole shebang.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
all.
that. I love a good steak. I love a good sushi's great. Mexican, Thai.
I was just joking about that, actually. I want to know what
Yeah.
you do every day, what your daily routine is. I know that you drink a ton at night. That's why you like chugged about 100 of those BLKs. But I want to know what time do you wake up? If you're working at night constantly, are you like
Well, it's
sleeping all
very
day?
hard. I get wired. I sometimes like it really depends what I'm doing. Like if I read, I'll fall asleep earlier.
Do you read a lot?
I try to, yeah. But
What do you read?
I'm reading a book now called American Tabloid by James Elroy that my friend Dana told me to read, and it's really good.
Oh, okay.
And then, but last night I was watching a Netflix show, and I was up to, it's one of those addictive shows.
Which ones?
It's called Untold, the Manti Te'o story. Have you heard of that?
No.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. It's a catfish. He was a huge college phenom, and it was the story of the guy who had like the made up dead girlfriend from years ago. You remember that was like 10 years ago?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And
actually.
it really opens your eyes to how dirty he was done by the media. The media is just so evil to young people. I mean, heartbreaking, an incredible talent. And like, this person catfished him, and it's like, it's really a disgusting thing to do. I mean, I'm not like breaking news here, but like, holy shit, that's a really horrible thing to fuck with someone like that. And,
I don't
didn't
remember.
really feel like there was a ton of remorse on that person's end. I'm like, man, and Manti Te'o forgave this person who really caused him hell. I mean, in many ways ruined his to break the odds and make it to the NFL, and then to have someone really fuck your life up and cost you millions of dollars.
That's terrible. I
It's
don't
pretty awful.
remember it that well.
Yeah.
I kind of do, but not really. So that's what you watched last night.
Yeah, and I watched the first one. I was like, all right, I guess I got to watch the second. I can't wait.
And then that's a problem with those things. That's why you can't start watching those things at night.
Yeah, well, that's how every episode ends with like, actually, the murderer was his mom. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. Actually, the murderer was a piece of cake. Is it cake? A new Netflix show. Is it a murderer, or is it a big woman who's just a cake?
What else are you watching? Give me another.
What do I watch? I'm so basic. I'll like rewatch Mad Men a million times. I love Mad Men so much. I love Sopranos. I can watch old shit. But then if I'm watching something new, what do I like? I was watching Only Murders in the Building because Martin Short just makes me laugh so hard. Like that guy is just.
Oh, so you like okay? So you like him?
Martin Short is like,
Another
oh my
Canadian.
God, he's funny. I love him. What else have I watched? Shows. I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
What's a new show that's big?
What's a new show? I've no.
I watched The Bear on Hulu. That was
Which one?
The Bear, about the
write that
show in
down.
Chicago. That was really good. Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna write that one
really
down.
good.
What?
The rehearsal?
I've heard it's amazing. I got to watch it. See, this is what happens.
See?
You're like the fifth, so
This
now
is-
I'll watch it.
Okay,
you need to
that-
hit 5 people.
You think it's 5, not 4?
I don't know.
What's it called?
The rehearsal.
It's Nathan Fielder. I haven't seen
Okay,
it.
the
Yeah, I heard it's
rehearsal.
great.
And what's the one that you said? The Bear?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Have you
B-A-
seen that?
Yeah, the bear, yeah.
It's really good.
It's like the animal, the bear.
Oh, the Bear. You have an accent that's very, very thick.
Oh, okay.
So I can't.
Okay.
Yeah. Part of it, like, is voice too. Don't you think with comedians that like it's a lot of it's how like their tonation, like their intonation, like the way you speak is kind of what makes you memorable. Like it's very like
Delivery.
yeah, it's your delivery exactly.
Sure.
You got a very good delivery.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Delivery, your jokes, your stage presence, basically the whole thing.
Yeah, you gotta work on everything.
No, I'm telling you, you're gonna I'm so glad that you came on today because
It was fun.
I feel like in a year, I'm not joking, you're gonna be huge. You're gonna be just huge, or because I feel like it's bubbling around you. I'm telling you now. Like I got that letter about you today. How strange.
Yeah.
You don't think that's so
Just
weird?
stalking, man. Just fucking.
No, I just find it interesting. I think that this is like although did they say in 2011, I did read this on your wiki page, that you're going to be the comedian to watch in 2013 or 2011.
Keep watching.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long do we have to watch you?
I mean, it's so humiliating. Like when they were like, "Oh, rising star," and they're like, in 2011, you're like, "Well, I guess I didn't rise quite yet. I don't know."
Like an unleavened bread. like
Yeah.
a matzah, basically.
Yeah.
You're
I mean, it takes a while, you know, but it's also like I've had fun for the last like many years.
And you're actually like, you have a good career, which is amazing.
It's great. I'm very fortunate.
Like you actually make money, which is,
I know, it's crazy.
you're not sleeping on people's couches. Or
No,
maybe
they
you
still
are.
offer, which is a little insulting. I'm like, I can pay for a hotel.
Oh,
They're like, come sleep on my couch. I'm like, you think I want to sleep on your fucking couch?
Right. I was going to actually say to
They
you,
want to hear you fuck your wife while I'm on your couch? I'm going to book a hotel.
don't they pay for it though? The people you stay, like if you're here doing a show, don't they kind of pay for your hotel?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, well, do you want to stay in my spare room? Because I thought
Can I listen to you fuck your husband?
Yeah, maybe. It's on the couch. It's going to be in your own room. So you have a
Yeah.
place to go.
Okay. Maybe I'll take it up on you someday.
You could play
Probably not,
basketball.
but I do like the basketball thing here. Swim
talking
some
about-
laps. I like swimming.
Oh, we have this thing in the pool that's like a resistant thing.
I saw that. It looks awesome.
It's really good for working out. So you
Yeah.
can do the treadmill.
You'll get me healthy.
I definitely can. You can do
Yeah.
the treadmill, then you can do that swim. Then you can go in the sauna.
You have a sauna?
Yeah, at red light
This
one.
is good living.
No, this is like, but I'm like, it's kind of known to. This is like a wellness facility.
Yeah.
You haven't seen
This
the
is like
red
rehab.
light. It is like a rehab.
Are you just going to kidnap me and try
Like-
to turn my life around?
It's like sober living, basically. Yeah, basically, it's a rehab or a sober living. Well, I think I'm done with you. I think that I've kind of
you
asked
sound like my ex.
Yeah, sorry. You can stay as long as you can play
No,
more
I'm messing.
basketball. You
I
can
might
go.
take a couple jump shots.
You can stay as long as you want. You can have dinner with my family.
I gotta go. I gotta do a show.
I know. What time is your show at? It's 4:50.
I know, but I wanna like get a jog in because I need to sweat this out.
Do you want to go on the treadmill? Do you have sweatpants?
No, I don't.
Do you have a pair of shorts?
And I'm in Pumas. I can't run in these.
You really can't. Although I
Yeah.
have shoes that fit you.
Really?
Not mine, but I have
Your
a ton.
husband?
Well, people send me stuff all the time. I have what size are you?
13.
You're a size 13?
Yeah.
Jesus. And how tall are you?
6'3".
Really? Do you have a girlfriend now?
I don't.
Do you want one?
No.
Are you sure?
I hate being set up.
Well, why?
Because I don't, it's like.
Again, it's not them saying you have a nice smile. It's me saying that you have a nice smile. So therefore, you don't have to hate them just yet.
The setup is always, it's a lot of pressure.
What's the pressure? You
I
go,
don't
you don't like
know.
them, you just move on. Are you on Tinder? Are you on Raya? What are you doing?
I don't want to talk about it.
I want to know. These are the things I actually want to know.
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay, well,
talk about
that means okay, fine.
I'm on
No problem.
Grinder.
You're on Grinder?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I'm not, but
Maybe you will be after this
Yeah, maybe.
podcast. Because if a girl tells you he has a nice smile, it's like
if a dude tells me I have a nice smile, I'm like, ew.
and if a girl does, you don't like it either, girl or
I
guy.
know. Yeah.
So you don't want me to set you up with anybody.
No, I'm good.
All right. To each his own. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming all this way. I know it was very nice of you. I know you had another show,
thanks.
and God knows, in a very different direction. And
We had fun. It was a good talk.
I thought you
I
were.
hope the good people at Entrepreneur Magazine are happy with it.
If they will be, why wouldn't they be?
I don't know.
You were, maybe a couple of the words here and there may have to be.
Are they going to upset them?
Well, this is my podcast. They're a partner of mine, and
Yeah.
they'll be fine. They're totally cool. With this.
Sorry for the potty language.
Don't worry. And people, please, okay, this is now me saying this. If you don't know who Sam is or you haven't heard his bits, first of all, check out his Netflix special. It is, I'm sure I haven't watched that one
You were
yet.
about to say it's amazing. You almost lied.
I know. I was going to say, I haven't watched that one yet
It's
because
good.
it's
It's a good
brand
special.
new.
Yeah.
But I have seen him do tons of bits, even on his social media, on his Instagram. He is so funny.
Thank you.
People, when I told them that I was, harassing you, they even knew who
Yeah.
you were.
Oh, cool.
They think you're hilarious. And because you are. That's why. So there you go.
Thank you.
He's my favorite newest comedian. Just
Not that
letting you
new.
know.
It's been a long time.
It's been, well, for me, because
New to you.
New to me. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved Sebastian for a very long
Sure.
time. And then I kind of, you kind of move through people after you see I love Jim Gaffigan too.
I love him.
I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
If you know him,
I do, yeah.
can you get him on my podcast?
Probably not.
How well do you know him?
Well, but it's a big ask.
Okay. What do you mean a big ass?
He's a big ask.
What do you mean? Can you ask Bill Burr?
No. I have favors I have to ask these people for.
Fine. I'll find them myself.
It's a headache to get them on my podcast. You think
They
I'm
won't
gonna-
even go on your podcast.
No, I've got
Bill
them both.
Burr.
They've both been on, but it's a big ask.
It is?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get Jim Gaffigan?
I don't remember. it was like he was promoting a special. If you want to get these people when they're promoting something.
Of course. It's always,
You know?
I got you even because of that, right?
I know, but I'm like, you just got me. You're not going to get Jim or Burr. Maybe you'll get them.
What do you mean? First of all, did you see the list of people I've had?
It's very impressive, but they're tough to get. I'm just saying.
I'm going to try.
I think,
and I'm going to prove you wrong.
I hope you do.
Okay, good.
I'm rooting for you. I just can't pull that ass.
I'm just kidding. Okay, check out Sam Morril. Go on his Instagram. What is your handle? Sam Morril. At Sam Morril?
It's sammorril.com on Instagram. It's my name, Sam Morril, Morril.
He's amazing. You will not be sorry. Watch the Netflix special.
You won't be sorry.
Sorry. Thank you for watching Habits and Hustle. Please watch another video here and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already by pressing the button below.
Hosted by Jennifer Cohen. Visionaries, tune in, you can get to know them. Be inspired, this is your moment. Excuses, we ain't having that. The Habits and Hustle podcast, powered by Habit Nest.